Hey guys, I just want to remind everybody that despite what some of the chat says sometimes, I do love sports. And I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer and fewer games and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want, and all I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all their customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Just head on over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Anthony does love sports compared to Steve, the director. I don't know if I compared to anybody else, but compared to director Steve. All right, let's start with baseball. We have plenty of Browns to discuss probably towards the end of the hour. Definitely the beginning of next hour. We'll get into a lot of Brown stuff, including have they been disrespected again? And I have some thoughts on Jason Lloyd's article on Deshaun Watson. I know that you guys talked about it. But Guardians make 2 trades, guys, in the 48 hours before the deadline. Obviously, you talked about Lane Thomas. I tried to watch a little. I was on the plane during the show yesterday, I think. Yeah, I got on the plane as the show was ending, but I was having a hard time with the internet at the beginning. But so you talked about that. I'll give my thoughts in a minute. But we'll start with Alex Cobb because that was the move that the Guardians made yesterday. They acquired the veteran right-handed pitcher from the Giants. And Alex Cobb has not pitched all year. He had hip surgery at the beginning of the season. So that's obviously a major concern that he hasn't pitched yet. He's thrown a number of rehab innings in the minors for the Giants and was expected to make his 2024 debut this past weekend, but then he got scratched with a blister, so they never activated him off the injured list. So the Guardians have acquired him. He is not on the active roster yet because he's still on the injured list, but will probably get activated, I would think, either maybe not this weekend, but certainly by next week to make his Guardians debut, although it's possible since he's new to the organization, maybe they give him one rehab start one more rehab start coming off the blister before they bring him to the big leagues. We'll see, but we should see him soon. As I said, he has not pitched this year. Last year, he was an all-star for the first time. For the most part in his career, he's been a solid pitcher. I would say he's a quality number 3 starter when he's at his best, but he's coming off hip surgery and he's 36 years old, so I don't know that he's going to be at his best. He had a really good season last year, but he hasn't pitched a ton the last 2 seasons, period. So I'll give more thoughts on it, but go ahead, guys. What'd you think?
It wasn't the big splash move I think we were all hoping they'd make in terms of acquiring an arm, but it certainly has the upside to pay tremendous dividends down the playoff stretch for the Guardians. They gave up essentially nothing for him. It's a complete flyer. You throw a dart, you take that risk 100 out of 100 times. You didn't give up anything in terms of prospects, but you also can't feel confident you're 100% getting someone who can contribute to the playoff rotation in Alex Cobb when he gets back healthy, because simply he's 36, about to turn 37 in October, so he's on the back end of 36, coming off the hip surgery. He has blister issues, and who knows if that's just early season or beginning of throwing again, developed. It's probably not anything serious, but another delay in his return to the field. And if the Guardians get 2023 Alex Cobb, he's a playoff pitcher for them. You just don't know for certain you're getting 2023 Alex Cobb, and because of that, it's a high-risk, high-reward type move for the Guardians. I'm disappointed it's their only move they made on the pitching front, but I like the move in it by itself.
Because of where he was at, and because he hadn't pitched all year, they pretty much got right. And free is always good. Now, I don't know if you want to take free food to the picnic, right? Just you can judge doing that, right? I'm not going to just pull up at the picnic with a bunch of new people like, hey, man, try this free dish I got at the side of the road. But it might be okay and it might not be okay. If it turns out that he can get back pitching, it could work for him. They didn't really need a top flight guy, but what started to happen is when you start seeing all these top flight names go off the board, you start be like, well, why can't we get that? You start to get greedy a little bit. And so the only thing that scares me is hip injuries and anything in the lower body. It's like, all right, how is his mechanics? Is he going to have any setbacks? He hasn't pitched at all this year. I would have preferred if he did pitch since he's been out on a disabled list. And then the blisters things can be kind of rough. So there is some question marks, right? I would give it a B- somewhere along there. I mean, I'm I'm not going to be jumping up for joy, but I will give them credit for at least trying to go out and do things within their perceived budget to get things done, right? I can't be mad at you. I can't say you didn't make no moves, but then when you make the moves, I'm like, well, it wasn't a big enough name. They perceived that they had a certain budget that they was going to spend on prospects or guys that they didn't want to move, and they didn't move any of their top name prospects to get 2 guys. And the question is, are they better with Lane and Cobb? Sure, I think they are better.
So overall, the Guardians have improved. I like what they did. I don't love what they did. I'll give them a B- for the entire trade deadline here. I think it's possible that Cobb ends up being the best pitcher traded in the last 2 months. I don't think that's out of the point of reality. The truth is, the last 2 days were exciting if you're a baseball fan, if you're a baseball transaction nerd like me. It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of trades.